Thank you, Derek. That IMF slide there brought a tear to my eye. You know,
It is very good,
be,
very good.
be honest with yourself and tough decisions on yourself. Oh, hang on now, I'm just wiping the tears away. But anyway, it's very good stuff. Just one other thing, Derek will actually tell you the website link for seminar number 1 before we finish today. So for those of you that missed it, you can catch up on it again. And actually, I've listened to it myself because sometimes I need to kind of refresh the memory. Anyway, the Latte Effect, that's more of a buzz term by another economist. It's really focused on, it's kind of a buzzword to illustrate money we're spending that we don't need to be spending. And okay, to go through it in fairly simplistic terms, is we're going to look at and talk about the daily, what we each of us spend. Now, I'll zone in straight on being an accountant. Being an accountant, you look at what the businesses take in and what they pay out. And that says a lot about the people who run the businesses and own the businesses, because no matter who they are, and I'm sure most people will agree, you can tell a lot about people by the way they spend their money. And that can be they can spend it in a flash way, they can not spend it at all, they can spend it on savings plans for the kids, or they can gamble it away. But you can tell a lot on the way people spend their money, so bear that in mind. Then once you end up spending less than what you're earning, you are getting somewhere. And then to really start bringing your debt down so that you've no debt in 7 years, the way you spend what you're saving is the important part. So we'll deal with the daily spending. Well, the Latte Effect, I mean, let's just be blunt about it. When you're an accountant, you look at what the business is spending, but you don't look at what the employees are doing with their wages, nor is it my business, and what the owners are doing with their wages or profits or dividends or whatever way they've taken the money out of there. So often people walk in and they'll say, I need more money. And they'll say, well, why aren't you spending more money? And they say, well, I can't earn any more. And it's a case of, well, why aren't you earning any more? And so this is all the job pays me. And the answer to that is, well, this is all the job pays you, but they pay other people more than that. So you might be earning $500 a week, but there's potentially people in the organization earning much more than $500 per week, because they have other skills. So that's a different day, but you get the point. Earning power is one we'll look at in the next webinar, but let's just come straight in on daily spending. If you did nothing else but look at the way you spend your money for the next 2 weeks, and we don't have a slide for it, but I'm just going to illustrate what you should be doing with your diary, and then I'll talk about it. If you put 3 columns on the diary, and on the left you put item, okay, so the item is what you're spending it on. The next one is amount, okay, and that's the amount you're spending on the item. And the next one is a question, waste, yes or no, okay, so there's your question. And if at the moment you're spending, let's pretend it's €60 per day, you say, whatever it is comes in the week, or you have at the start of the week, by the end of the week it's all gone. So 7 6s are 42, so there's €420 at the start of the week, nothing at the end, so you're spending on average 60 a day. If you do nothing else for the next week, start writing down where every penny goes that you spend. And let's just give you a few obvious items. Petrol, going into work or going out, taxis, parking might be one. Let's deal with the topic, the latte, buying coffee at lunchtime, or coffee is fine and tea is fine, but maybe it's an expensive coffee like a mocha or a mocha latte where there's plenty of, as they say, cross-selling and upgrades for extra cream. Buying lunch out, okay, having a few pints after work, buying a garment for the event on Saturday night, Sky TV, I'm just throwing them out here. Could be, a nice bottle of perfume, or could be nice, perfume for fellas, or an extra shirt for a guy, whatever it is. A couple of key things here. A lot of these items we're spending our money on, we don't really need them. And if we can make a 10% saving in what we spend, okay, and we'll zone in on that, it'll make a dramatic difference at the end of the month and the end of the year in meeting your debts and what's more, paying them down quicker. Now that's one we'll come to, further on. So let's look at the spending. Why are we paying for paid parking if there's free parking somewhere else in town? Maybe it's a matter of getting up a bit earlier and parking the car for free on a different street. Okay, maybe the free parking is 200 meters further away from work and we just like the idea of parking outside the door. Okay, so do we need to be doing that? A good rule of when you're in the shops, Now this does, unfortunately, discriminate here, apply more to girls than fellas, but that's what I thought, but I've found differently. Fellas are more impulse buyers because they hate shopping. They'll buy when they're out, whereas girls will shop around and might put it off till tomorrow. That seems to be what I'm picking up. But the rule is, if you see something you like to buy, okay, ask the assistant to push it aside, sleep on it, and if you still think you need it tomorrow, buy it tomorrow. Because nine times out of 10 you'll wake up and say, actually I don't need that jacket. No, I don't need that extra pair of shoes. The ones I have will be fine. And you get where I'm going. But by the time you finish that diary, and remember the 3 headings are item, amount, and waste, yes or no, I can guarantee you now, no matter who you are, there's items on that list you'll find at the end of the week that you don't need to be spending money on. It could be a matter of bringing in a packed lunch to work. It could be a matter of not bringing the car on certain outings, that you have a very good bicycle out the back, or catch a lift with someone, or get the bus. But there's savings that can be made there. And
I can step in there, Kevin. I did this exercise myself back in August of this year, and I thought generally that I wouldn't spend that much throughout the month. And apart from petrol, which I was using to get around, I actually spent maybe €600 just being out and about. And that was €600 even without buying a daily sandwich. That was just spending it on tolls, on parking, on the odd treat here and there, just various little bits and pieces. At the end of the month, I had nothing new materially for myself. It was just basically the running costs of kind of just running a business on very little. But at the end, I still had spent nearly €600, not including petrol. So when you throw petrol on top of that, you're up to over €1,000 just living in the month. And that's kind of running a basic business, if you like. So,
okay.
and I thought I would have been able to get by at about €200 a month, but it's actually over 600.
Okay, well that's typically shocking, because generally it is shocking. And I'll add another little killer point to that. That €600 you're spending that you don't need to be spending is after-tax income. So you have to earn effectively €1,000 to end up with that 600 to spend it. So and this is where we're coming to, if you're not wasting money in a non-tax efficient way, and the tax break side of it is something we'll come to on a different webinar, the saving is enormous. Now if that €600 was over a month, I think you said, let's multiply that by 12, that's 7,200 in a year. Now this is typical. This is absolutely typical. Now, we'll deal with the debt element at a later point, but the point of the matter is, what we do is we decide where we're going to put that 600 a month or 7,200 a year. And I mean, I'll give you a couple of simple examples. If you had a 200,000 mortgage on your home, and many people might have that tonight, or less or more, and it's a 20-year mortgage, by the time they pay that off over 20 years, they've paid 90,000 extra in interest. Okay, so a €200,000 home has now become a €290,000 home over the 20 years. By putting that 7,200, and I'm just talking on cutting spending here, and this is only phase 1 of getting out of debt in 7 years. By just cutting spending and not improving the business, which is a different webinar for a different day, you'll knock 5.5 years off that mortgage and save yourself 45,000 odd in interest. Okay, and that's assuming a 4% interest rate, and the 20 years sticks at 4%. There's a few assumptions there, but they're not unreasonable.